Hey, what's going on, guys? Give me a thumbs up, yes or no, if you can hear me. We're just going to get going here shortly. FOMC results are going to be coming out here in about 20 minutes. So we should start to see the markets run pretty quick here, but I'm just getting everything all set up. So give me about another minute or two here, and we'll get rolling. I'll start doing some analysis. I've already done marked up some charts here, so we can see what's going to happen, but I think that we're going to be seeing some pretty good movement happening, despite of what's already happened today. So like I said, give me about 2 minutes here. I'll just put a note up on here, and then we're going to get going. So I'm just going to mute you to then, but I am here, so we're going to get started here shortly. Thanks, guys. But like I say, just give me a thumbs up, yes or no, if you can hear me or not, just so I've got... Marcus, you can hear me? Can't hear. Yeah, perfect. Great. Thanks, guys. Like I say, just give me about 2 minutes, and I'm going to get things set up, and then we're going to get going. Okay, guys, sorry about that. I just had to send out a quick email there that accidentally popped up on the screen, so you probably saw all that. We're going to get rolling here right now. I've got a couple of different charts up. I'll get rid of this here. So, just real quick, my feed is looks a little bit different between my two platforms, and I discussed this a little bit. One has the candle high a little bit higher than the other one in here, but I am missing some data on this one, and then the other one has the candle up here, but it's a little bit lower in here. So not a big deal. Ultimately, the fact of the matter is that I think what we're going to see today, what I'd like to see, so there's a couple of inefficiencies. I'm just going to get rid of this line here. A couple of inefficiencies above price, right above the high rate here. Now, on this feed, again, it took out the market high. Now, I was talking with somebody the other day, and their feed did not have this old high here taken out. Price basically stops pretty much right at the top of this candle. So what I just want to actually do just real quickly here, I'm just going to zip over to, let's see if I can bring one up on Trading View here. I just want to do some confirmation. Give me 1 second here. US dollar. I don't know if I can find it on here. I'm not sure what the ticker symbol is actually on Trading View. Give me 1 second. I'm just going to zip over to bar charts. That's an easy one. US dollar index. We are going out to the June contracts. I'm going to pop this window out. And let's see what we've got here. Okay. So, you can see price. This was that old high I was talking about, and this is a pretty reliable data feed here. So, and this is in confluence to my other chart. You can see this high here from this old consolidation was taken out, and it was rejected, and they came back down, and price has been in a very, very tight consolidation range. So I am fully expecting this range to get finally taken out today. But again, as I was saying in the in this chart here, there are a couple of small inefficiencies above the range here that I think price could get into. There is a bit of a, it's not necessarily a void or anything like that, but there are some points where price has not retraced back to cover the area. So small little one in here of a couple of pips, and then a larger one in here of about, I think, 20 pips or so. Now, I'm not suggesting that price is going to reach right up into this one here. If it does, I would expect a bounce off of this level here. I would not expect price to continue higher. But there are a couple of factors that we've got to weigh out. So factor number one being that the Feds have obviously raised interest rates in the U.S. marginally, and that typically equates to a stronger dollar, which would mean we would see price obviously start to run higher. And number two, obviously Trump's been getting on news feeds and everything saying, hey, our dollar needs to get stronger, etc., etc., etc. So I guess ultimately today we'll really tell if we're going to continue on this downtrend that we've been seeing. You know what? Don't like that view. Let me go up to a weekly. There we go here. So you can see price has done a nice job at bouncing off of the weekly mean threshold right here of this consolidation range, and has shown an unwillingness to continue down so far. However, again, if we see a continuation, now I could be wrong. Price may just, so you can see we're sitting right in the middle of this consolidation range right now. Price could just start dumping and dropping right now and take out the low and continue. And then we'll be looking for these highs here to start getting tagged at the next weekly consolidation range in here. But so far, price has not shown a willingness to get lower than this range, other than a couple of weak wicks in here. But I think, like I say, there is a small area above price right in here, a couple of inefficiencies where I think they may want to take price. So we're going to find out in about 10 minutes here. But what that is going to equate to, if you look over at the Euro USD, so if we do get that slight pop higher, again, in the US dollar, I think, and I'm not suggesting that price is going to stay above here. If we get a candle that closes today above here, then I may have to rethink the trajectory of the US dollar, and it may want to stay up in this range a little bit longer, okay? So just bear that in mind. If we get a wick and a rejection, we'll probably see lower prices. If we get price push up and close on the daily above this high here, that's going to signify that we are probably going to see higher prices on the dollar. Okay, so just bear that in mind. And right now, we are literally right in the middle of this consolidation range. So if you go pretty much, I'm just going to take it from this high here to this low here. Right, we're just right about smack dab, a little bit higher than the middle of that consolidation range. So price could literally go any way. I'm thinking higher, rejection, continuation, lower. Okay, but we will see on that. So if we put that theory into practice, the Euro USD, which has been trending along quite nicely, very similar to the the US dollar index, I think we'll get a run lower into this little area of price inefficiency that I have labeled out here, and more specifically, I think this level here. So 2110. See if I can get that. Whoops. Now I'm screwing everything up here. 1 second, guys. About 2111, 2110 basically is kind of the level that I'm looking at. It may not want to get down that lower, and that's basically just 50% range of this price inefficiency right here. We could get price that would tag off of these old highs over in here from this previous consolidation range back in January, but it may not want to get down that low. So you kind of got to anticipate just a quick sweep of this March 1st low here, you know, 20-30 pips lower, and then we'll see if we want to see some rejection. But price could want to get down into this range and then maybe follow into here. So we got to have all the levels marked out on the chart. But that's what I'm looking at. And then the next range, obviously, the next thing that could happen as well too is just a quick rejection right on this level here. They may not even take the lows today at 2153. So I'll just mark that one out at 2150, and we'll call that one a day. So we'll watch that level as well too. So we got a couple of areas on the chart that we're marking off. Now, pound dollar, we've been making a very, very strong push. The pound has decoupled from the US dollar. Typically they run in tandem, as a mirror image of each other. So if the US dollar is going down, the pound dollar will be going up, and vice versa. We haven't been seeing that, as we have seen a nice run on the pound dollar here the past since March 1st. Again, it's been running about 370 pips so far to its high now, so we could see continuation to the upside. I'd like to see that because there are these old Brexit highs in here that I think they're going to want to run, and we'll have to wait and see for that. It's not going to be a straight shot up there, obviously. I would like to see same type of similar scenario as the euro price drop down, gather some buys, take out some of the stops down here, and then run higher. But we won't know that, obviously, until FOMC. And that is quite a big range down. I mean, I've seen some big FOMC events in my day trading. But for them to do that in one straight shot, I'd be very surprised. So I think the catalyst today, if they fail to breach this high here, if this high fails to get hit and continued through, and what I mean by that is, again, same type of idea. If they punch price up to this high here, but, and hang on one second, let me just fix this. So if they run price up to here and close higher than this high, then they're going to want to keep running it up, and we're going to challenge these highs up in here. But if they do a wick up and then same type of idea, reject and then drop lower, then we could see prices start to accumulate down here where we could get in some longs. Now, what we could see is price do this. It could drop very, very quickly, take out these lows here, and then start running higher, which would be the exact mirror opposite of what the US dollar is going to do. But we're not too sure yet, obviously, so we got to kind of just watch, wait, and see. So what I'm going to do real quick is I'm going to pop out a couple of charts, put them all side by side here, and we'll just kind of watch price today and see how it goes. So hopefully I can get all these marked up in time here. Now this one here, I want it on I'll keep this one on the daily just because I want to see what happens there. The US dollar on the daily, and hopefully I got enough room on my charts. I might have to shrink these up a little bit. Oops, don't need the S&P. Okay, and then where was my crude? That's cotton, Ethereum. Where the hell is my pound dollar? There it is. Okay. Ah, that's orange juice. Jesus. Pound dollar. Where are you? There it is. Sorry, guys. You guys got any questions? I got the chat window up here. If you guys got any questions or anything like that, by all means, jump on in. Like to hear from you if you have any questions, comments, concerns, or anything in between. While I get this all set up here. There. That's not too bad. So we'll kind of watch price here. I'm going to switch out to a larger time frame on here. That's a 4-hour. So we'll just sort of see what price does. And again, I'm going to zip out, zoom out a little bit here. There. Okay, so now we've got the levels identified on the chart here that I'd like to see hit. So we should start seeing some movement. And we had actually a pretty good day. I mean, if you look at the euro, drop down to a lower time frame on the euro. We actually had a pretty nice run on the euro coming in yesterday. Put some day dividers on here so you can see. So this was early on in the week, and you can see price here. God damn. Hang on one second. I'm just going to take off the... I don't know if I can do it in here. No, I can't do it in there. Anyway, we had the weekly high. So this is Wednesday, Tuesday, Monday's candle. Monday's candle opened up, the weekly candle opened up right here, and we're already below that. They essentially ran it up, took out the stops above the market from last week, and then have sunk it from there. And that's kind of why I'm thinking they're probably going to continue to sink it. Again, we got to wait and see, obviously, but I just kind of found it interesting that we've had such movement yesterday pre-FOMC, and then a nice healthy retracement into it here. So let's just kind of zoom in here a little bit and see what they want to do. I wouldn't expect price to break these highs here if we're going to see a continuation to the downside. I'd kind of like to see price reject off of these levels in order to get those lows that I've identified right down here. So we'll see that. And so I'll just maybe just zip out very quickly and just kind of discuss a couple of the other levels that I've got. So current level, obviously this one right here is the lows of today. This level right here was a level that I had on a lower time frame that were the lows of Monday, which you can see here. They broke through that, since retraced, and then there's actually I need to get a line in here. I'll just maybe borrow this guy here if I can. There we go. So I don't want to see price go up any higher than these guys up in here. Okay, so that would kind of be the line in the sand right there. You can see price is starting to move a bit now. I'd expect to see some rejection right now, and I'm looking for lower prices to ensue. But if price gets up higher than right in here, and again, same with this thing here, if these highs start getting taken out, then we're going to be looking up in here as the next level where they want to take price. So far, US dollar, haven't seen a whole bunch on this guy yet. I'm going to zoom in a little bit here on a lower time frame. Again, same type of idea. If price breaks down here, then we're going to be looking for lower prices before they go higher. So we'll see what kind of movement we get. So far, we're seeing some rejection here. It's got to get through this candle here on the low side in order to take it out. It looks like they're running it higher. Yeah, there they go. Some pretty good action so far. Look at that. Taking all the buy stops above the market now. Really pushing it up there. See, this is kind of why you don't want to be trading FOMC. I mean, that's so far about a 50 pip candle, 50, 60 pip candle right here. That happened almost instantaneously. They could wick it and reject it. And look what they're starting to do here. So the price could be all over the map here for the next couple of hours until it starts to stabilize and we can actually get a true direction of where they want to go. Price really doesn't seem to want to go below here for the time being. But we do have some relatively equal lows here and a bit of a price inefficiency rate in here that they may scoop. They may want to save that until later. Like I said, I'd like to see them run higher, but they could just drop it from here. So doing a nice job. Look at that. They took all the stops above here and they're really working it lower. So that's sort of what we had anticipated. So we can zoom out here a little. Actually, here, let's do this. Let's scrunch this up a little. Pound dollar, not like it looks like it's doing a whole ton here. I'm on a bit of a higher time frame. Let me zoom in a little bit to an hourly. So they took the stops above the market here nicely. I mean, they took that by about 30 pips. I wish I could get a crosshair on here. Unfortunately, this is a little bit limited. No, they're dumping it nicely here now. Here they go. Unless they're just willing to take buy stops on both ends of the market and then finish right in the middle again. That could be a possibility. I definitely have seen that before. So they'll come in and if you look at something like on the, I'll just move out to a 4 hour. So you look at something like this, where they've been working a price range, a nice sort of consolidation range, and then all they'll do is they'll sit there and they'll jam the price higher and then jam the price lower and basically take out everybody's buy stop higher and sell stop lower, and then they'll finish the day right in the middle, right in the 50% range. But then what happens from there, and that's a bit of a clue, what happens from there, if they take all the buy stops above and below the market and then finish right in the middle of the range, all you have to do is wait for about 2 days, 1, 2, maximum 3 days, and watch where price starts to move from there. So let's say it goes higher from there. What they'll do is they'll redistribute price back down to the mean threshold of that consolidation, and then they'll key off of that and run price higher. So just keep that in mind. So there's always an opportunity, but you definitely don't want to be trading today because this is a mess in here. Going back to the dollar, I just want to see on an hourly, right? Like that's pretty much what I'm talking about. Is they're taking stops below the market, taking all the sell stops, running it higher, taking the buy stops, and they're just kind of sitting there right now. So I'm just wondering if there's any other news events here on the day. I'm just going to pull up Forex Factory real quick here. There's some Aussie news later on in today, some employment and unemployment rates that they're discussing, and then going into Thursday, it's all euro and pound sterling news on Thursday. So we could get some more continued price decline or increase here if the market starts to trend in one way or the other on those two pairs. So we'll be watching for that. And then on Friday, there's another FOMC member speaking. It's medium impact news. There won't be a whole ton of action there on Friday, but the Canadian dollar has a whole bunch of news events as well too. And I should have brought that one up as well with the Canadian dollar, because that one has seen some nice strength as of late. And just pull that up real quick here. You can see the strength on this. Again, totally, this pair should be doing exactly what the US dollar index is doing. Now, granted, oil has had a bit of an effect on that as well, but not to the extent of seeing this increase here, because oil has actually seen a decline right back in here, and it's failed to get above the old highs. And I can bring up an oil chart here for you so you can see. Get rid of this. Had a nice little run on oil here the past couple of days, so you can see what I'm talking about. Oil made it high, came down, retraced, and then made an interim high. Again, failed to get above it, came back down, and now it's finally punching higher. I think oil is going to start to, if we don't get a failure in here at this level here, then I think we'll be challenging these highs up here. That'll be next. So look for a bit of a retracement in price back down to this level or this level, and then get long, and you can see that go up. But what I'm driving at here is with the US dollar, US CAD, right? We've seen a nice decline in here, totally uncoupled with what the US dollar index is doing, which has obviously just been sitting completely sideways. So they are definitely running price higher to get up to a level. I think it's pretty close to hitting that level up in here, which is why I've got this red line up here. But I think that's where I think ultimately it could go higher. But if the dollar index starts to fail, this could be that could have been the final run, and we could see this start to gain or start to drop. So we'll see how that goes. But it made a very convincing run through these old highs here, so that's a very, very bullish move. So we could see higher prices, and I do have some levels up here that are very, very interesting to me going forward. But we'll see how that pans out. So anyway, see how we're doing here. And obviously all of these things just, oh, there we go. That's what I wanted to do. So far, a bit lackluster. I mean, there really hasn't been a whole lot of action. Just kind of taking price in the middle of each of the ranges here. Not a whole lot. Really working this range right in here though, on the euro, whereas the pound dollar is running higher on the day. Hang on, I gotta take this off. This is driving me crazy. And US dollar. There we go. That's better. Put some crosshairs on. All right. Sorry guys, I got my IM going off here. Yeah, so anyway, so yeah, like I say, they're really working price in here. All we've done today so far is 63 pips one way or the other, so still sitting in the middle, and it's honestly, that's just a little below 50% of this daily range right here, so haven't really done anything too significant. Same thing with the dollar, but they did slightly run it higher, and now it's seeking weaker price. So I want to see if they want to close below here. If they can close below here, then we should see lower prices on the US dollar, which should in turn relate to higher prices in the euro. But I really wanted to see them get lower. Like I say again, I mean, we've got some pretty significant ranges down here that I really wanted to see them tap into, at the very least. Get under this low rate here and scoop up some of that liquidity. Drives me crazy when and the pound dollar actually did it a little while ago, where they just kind of tease you. So the pound started making these lows in here, started coming down, and this was the key off point that I wanted to see price get into to get a long. It didn't hit it. It just came down and it stopped about 50 or 70 pips or whatever it was. what is that low? 70 and 65. Yeah, so about 60 pips, I think, before it hit here. They didn't close that gap in there, and that's the stuff that kind of drives me crazy. They'll just sort of tease you. They'll drive it down, drive it down, drive it down, and then rip it up. And then they'll sit there and consolidate in here and piss around. And then they'll drop it down, drop it down, drop it down. And then again, they'll come down and they'll maybe just create an equal low down in here and then run it back up. And they'll never come back down and close that until, you know, months down the road or something like that. That's the kind of stuff that drives me crazy. I'd like just a nice continued move down. We are going into some typical seasonal pattern here coming up here in the next couple of months, where we should start to see bullish action on a lot of the foreign currency pairs that are coupled with the US dollar. So there is that. You know, you got to keep that in mind going into April, May, June. That typically price historically sees bullish price action in those time frames. So we're sort of looking at that to occur, but I think we need to take out some of these lows before it happens. But if you see here, price has done a very good job so far at rejecting these levels down in here. It's come down to an area consolidation, hit the highs, and so far it's rejected, and it doesn't look like it wants to continue down lower yet. But we'll wait and see. I mean, that's just on the daily, a daily observation. But if you go down to an hourly, you know, like I say, they don't seem to. Come on, where are we here? They really don't want to come down. Seem like they want to come down and take out the lows that it just created here yet. So interesting. But that's FOMC for you, kind of all over the map. Seems like prices settled down a little bit now, but that was a fairly decent candle. $65 pip candle so far, and we're only about 10-15 minutes into FOMC. Guys, just hang on for 1 second here. I'm just going to go and fill up my coffee. If you can bear with me for 30 seconds, I'll be right back. All right, sorry about that, guys. Just wanted to get a refresher on my coffee here. My 5th cup of the day. Okay, sorry guys, I'm just going to turn off the notification something here. There we go, that's better. Alright, so price is starting to challenge this consolidation area in here on the US dollar. So we're going to see if it wants to do any continuation lower. I'm going to zoom out to a 4-hour here. have a look at that. Really ugly price action for the past little while. I mean, very, very hard to key off of anything in here and try to see some sort of confluence between the euro and the pound. You know, pound has definitely been the leader of these guys here, and you know, that may have been the indication, sort of the tip-off point of it, but it is, I think we could definitely going to be challenging this high up in here in the interim. So they may have wanted to come back in and drop it before taking any stops, and this could have been it, like on the dollar. Like I say, I wanted to see one more run above here, but they may just want to be dropping it. So what I'm saying here is, if we see these lows, see these equal lows right here, if we get a run below these equal lows, then price should be willing to come back down and challenge these areas in here. So, which means for the rest of the week, we will be looking at long setups for the euro and the USD. Sorry, the pound dollar. So we'll look and see how that goes. But I still want to see this high rate in here violated before I'm interested in getting long. And I'm not doing anything today, just so you guys know. I'm not trading today. I don't have any positions, demo or real on. I'm just, man, I cannot get a straight trend line if my life depended on it here. 50.07. There we go. So what I'd like to see, if we can get higher than this guy here, and price had a great reaction right off of this bullish order block right there. Price came down, wicked into it, and completely rejected, which is nice to see, and that it kind of starts to tip the hand that shows you where they're going to want to take price. But again, I want to see something like this happen. If price breaks higher than here and starts to run, I'd like to see a break higher, and then just a simple break retest strategy where potentially Thursday and Friday we could look at potentially getting long, and then coming in and see these equal highs up here. That would be sort of the first target on the week. Now that would be a fairly big range. I don't necessarily know if we're going to get that on the week. It is only Wednesday, but if we did get something like that, that's a nice 100 pip range that it could hit, and then we'd be looking at price further up into here. So we'll see how that goes. This low here of March 1st, that may have been it. But again, price would have to get higher than here in order to confirm price is going to be continuing in that higher direction. So sorry, I was just reading a note from somebody. Not too exciting on the non-farm side today. I expected a little bit more action to ensue. But, you know, it is what it is. So, like I say, you just sort of have to key off your levels. Nice continuation here. They did not want to break this uptrend here. But I want to see what happens if price gets into here. I want to see if they have any willingness to break this high in here. You know what I'm actually going to do? I'm just going to take a real quick fib from here to here. And then I want to see where price is. Right about there. So a little bit higher than what we are right now. And I'm just basically taking the middle of this this run up right here, and then I'm going to put a price tag on that, and 141, call it 141.70. So if price has a willingness to break higher than 141.70 on the pound dollar, close above it, then I'm going to assume that these highs in here are going to be the next that are going to be tested. And we'll see if they want to grab those up there. and then a continuation higher, like I say, up into Brexit, the old Brexit highs back in here. So you can see how price came up and just rejected, come back down, consolidate, building up longs, ripped it back down again. Didn't quite get this old high off of here. I really like it when they come back down and clean up price. Excuse me. And have it as a nicely traded through area. They only traded through price, the level in here once, and never came back again until right here. But in my mind, it didn't convincingly get it enough. I mean, it left about 60 pips on the table right in this area. So hate it when they do that, but they do it sometimes. Like you can see in here how they consolidated price and then popped it out of this range, came back and retested the old highs in here. That's what I want to see. And then did it here one more time, and then did it here, came back, retested the old highs, and then expanded. Haven't done that yet, and so I really wanted to see that in this price movement down here today. I wanted to see them drop it, and then I could have got in on a long. But when price has already been extended up in here, I don't want to get into any longs until we see a significant retracement or a break above the highs, a retest, and then that's when you get longs. So really tough to key off of these levels. You know, you look at this and, you know, kind of tough to key off of those levels. Now, price is retracing a little bit here today. What I want to see is if they want to come back down here and get through there. They may not come down there at all. They could just sit here and do this and then pop it higher again. But just something I kind of want to see. So I'm not going to sit on here too much longer either, guys. This isn't going to be a real long drawn out session. I just kind of wanted to discuss a couple of levels that we're looking at here, and sort of see where we're sitting. That's the pound dollar, euro USD. So you can see that, and again, if we're going to see bullish price continue, it's got to break the highs in here, and that comes in at 123.35, even up to 123.40. I'd like to see them break this area right in here if we're going to continue to the upside. Anything lower than that on the day, and my thoughts are that they're going to continue to run it lower. Nice little retail traders trend line right there. So, but again, they're still just sitting this thing right in the middle of the range. You look at the high to the low. Oops. Wrong high. Alright, and here's 50% right up in here that we just fell off of yesterday, and that's, I wanted to see that continue lower. So, hasn't done it yet. A lot of support down in this area here, apparently. But you can see here, like I was saying about that retail trend line, you can see that a little bit better right there. Just a nice sort of area of confluence. Should run it down nicely, right into my green buy area, and then we can go, but it's got to break. Cloud's cleaning up this area in here. A little inefficiency up in here. See if we get a bounce off of these levels here and a run higher. Rejection down here, took the stops. So you think here, you look here, so this was yesterday's trading. They dropped price below the weekly open, rejected, and just slowly were grinding this all through the nights, all through London session. Ugly price action in here, dropped it back down. So everybody who was getting long, they slammed their stops right under here, and they took those out nicely here. And you can see that, just perfect delivery of price action right there. See how many pips they came under these lows? 10 pips, exactly 10 pip stop run, and that's typically what the market makers usually do. they'll run it, take everybody's stop by 10 to 20 pips typically. This one was exactly 10 pips, ripped it higher, and away we go off to the races. So again, nice bullish price action. Kind of leads me to believe that since they took the stops below the market, kind of leads me to believe that they're going to run price higher. So these areas have to get broken in order for that to occur, and then like I say, I'd want to see a bounce or willingness to run higher to here, a return back to the consolidation area, and then a continuation higher. So not necessarily fireworks on this FOMC yet, but today's going to be probably a good runner. They're probably going to run this for another hour or two here in the market before it starts to settle down. You know, please, if you guys are looking at this saying, "Wow, this thing's going higher," you know, it's this, you know, it's obvious continuation, you know, into here, and we even get a bounce off of these highs here, and it starts to run. Don't take trades on FOMC because they can do anything they want to the market, and they could just drop it right from here, and you do not want to get caught in anything like that. So, you know, FOMC days, non-farm payroll days. Very, very volatile news event days, and you should definitely stay out for any high degree of accuracy trading anyway. If you want to just get in there on a demo account and play around, I mean, that's, you know, have at it, do what you want to do, but don't expect to be highly accurate every single time you do that. You may get lucky, and that's the problem, is you may get lucky, you know, trading an NFP day or a FOMC day, and you think, oh yeah, I got this, no problem, I can easily see what they're doing, and then you go in and you start betting live funds, and when I say betting, I mean you're gambling live funds on doing the same thing, trying to duplicate past performance, and you get your ass handed to you, and you know, on something like a price spike like this, and then you know why, right? So, just kind of interesting. I had a trade idea for cotton the other day, and it ended up stopping me out. I didn't. I wanted price to come up to look at getting short on this, right up in this area, and price actually came up on this candle and stopped me out by about 2 pips, and then really didn't want to do anything. And then I said, if price gets above, and I would have put out a signal for this actually. So if you're one of our members looking at this wondering why I didn't put a signal out, it's because it's FOMC today, and I don't want to trade on that day. But you can see what it did. Poked its head up once, twice. I'm expecting lower prices on cotton. So if you guys are commodity traders and you want to take a demo trade, again, this is not trading advice. This is nothing of the sorts. I'm just saying I think we're going to see lower prices on cotton ensue, and I think this was just sort of the run up higher. So if I see continuation to the downside and I see this area in here broken, I'm going to put out a signal, a sell signal on this. And I'm only talking about this because there's really not a whole lot happening on this non-farm, or I'm sorry, on this NFP day, and I just want to throw something else at you to look at. But you can see how prices run up nicely, come back down, retested an old consolidation level, and then run up and captured the high, and then rejected. I think that we're going to see lower prices just because cotton in particular seasonally starts to see bearish prices right around this time of year. It's fairly bullish from January to early March, and then from May to November it turns very, very bearish, and so we're a little bit early yet, you know, but I think we're going to see lower prices, and only because there's a couple of price inefficiencies in these areas here, and then a big one right in the center area under these lows that they didn't bother to come down and tag. So right down in here to right here, I think they could come back and sweep down there. Now I could be wrong. If price gets above this high here and it just pushes back up, then we're going to go and retest these highs in here. But the bullish nature of this typically gives way about early in the month here, and so we're now 2/3 into March, and I think that's over now, and I think they've hit the high in here, and then now I think they're going to start dropping it lower. So it could be a nice little swing trade for you guys if you do like to dabble in the commodity markets. Again, this is not trade advice. This is just my thoughts on it. And anything that I do show on here, it is in a demo account and not to be considered as trade advice or portfolio management or any of that. happening. So just so you are aware. But very interesting. They just took the highs in here and have dropped it. So I think we're going to see a continuation to the downside. But again, got into a signal. I wanted to enter in about here. I didn't want to see price go any higher than about here, and I had a stop just above here, and it just took the damn stop out, which is unfortunate. I didn't want to see it come all the way up here, but it just grabbed it. So yeah, it is what it is. Anyway, for our members, like I say, I will put out a signal on this if we do see continuation to the downside on it. Back to the US dollar, not a whole lot happening. Just sort of sitting here. Kind of a lackluster FOMC so far. They could be saving something fun for us a little bit later on, where they like to just get in there and let everybody think that the action has subsided and then just start ramming price one way or the other. I've seen that as well too, so waiting to see if anything happens there. But so far, they haven't been very interested in taking anything lower, and now they're starting to shrink price back up. Again, on the dollar, I mean, we could see these lows getting tagged, or these highs, I'm running these highs yet. It is still in the cards. Ignore this right here. This is a gap in price on this feed. Just ignore that. That actually is not accurate. If you're just joining us, I was saying to you that this feed that I've got here, that there's a bit of a lapse in price data, and then this one here is a little high, more accurate, but this in here, there should be a candle that pokes its head up above here. So 1 second, guys. I'm just going to, I'm not going to be doing too much. If you want to escape, go ahead. I'm going to watch price here for about another 20-30 minutes, but I just got a phone call coming in. I just got to take real quick here, so just give me 30 seconds. Thanks. Sorry about that, everybody. I got one call that come in here that I had to take, and then I had another one right after it. So it always never fails whenever I'm doing a live session. There's always people trying to call in here. So that's what happens in the middle of the day, middle of office hours. It's always lots going on, which is typically why I tend to like to keep my live sessions to London open, which is midnight New York time, and New York open, which is typically the best times of day for me anyway to trade. And if you guys are doing any trading on your own as well too, those are definitely the best times of day to enter into trades, because that's usually when you'll see the extremes of the market, where the market is either at the high point or at the low point, and that's where you get in and get the most out of the price action, versus right in the middle of the day, you know, or at the end of the day when price is starting to wind down, and then you get back in. So it's definitely not conducive. So you definitely want to price it on the US dollar. It's just kind of range bound, just sort of sitting in the middle, not really doing a whole lot, right? Like this is price. It's just kind of sitting there, not doing a bunch. Still hasn't broken any of these lows down in here. You know, that whole retail trend line right there is still coming to fruition, which, I don't know, guys. I was actually honestly expecting a little bit more in terms of volatility today. This isn't a whole bunch. You know, like I've seen non-farm events bigger than this one here. You know, all they did was take the old highs here and then drop it back down. Still have not taken any lows yet. So that's definitely suspect. You know, the fact that they're not willing to really take any lows right now, a little suspect. We could see higher prices on the dollar. Either that or they're building up sentiment. That's the other thing too. So what they're doing is they're creating an artificial support level. So I'll just kind of paint this out for you guys. This could be the other option. So they're coming in and they're saying, okay, they traded off of this low right here, which just happens to be the low of the whole consolidation range. Haven't come back to that level yet. Then they drop it down, they retrace it after they took out the highs, and they say right back to the 50% level of this whole consolidation, and they say, no, we're not going to come back down. We're going to run it back up, but we're not going to come back down to take out any stops under here. But they continue to come higher and higher and higher. And then they come back down after a nice expansion higher. Equal highs up in here, you can see that. Might have grabbed it by maybe a pip, and then ran it back lower. And then they came back down, nope, not going to take out the lows here. And then they come back in, and then they finally take the highs above market. So they took out the buy stops above here. And then they dropped it back down. And now, so far, they haven't shown any willingness to take out the lows here yet. So what they could be doing is building up an artificial sentiment to the downside. So everyone's thinking, oh, this is support, this is support, this is support. Price is not going down any lower. FOMC sits here and it jostles price all around, kind of stays right in the middle of the range, only for them to basically blow everybody out of the water right here and ram price straight down and start taking out each one of these sell stops that everybody's, because right as price is going up, all of the large funds and everything, they're slamming. Where's their stop? Here, here, here. Right, they're going to start taking all of those because everything above current price has been taken. Right, all of the buy stops above here, they took that right here and dropped the price. But they haven't wanted to come down and take any of the sell stops yet under the market yet. But they're really consolidating. So that kind of leads me to believe the reason, you know, they're sitting in this range right here and not expanding higher. Usually if you see this, they're making higher highs and they're expanding and they're making up some ground. Right? And that's where you have a nice bull market and they don't come down and get the stops. And you can see continuation patterns in there. But when they do this, when they come down, grab all the stops below these lows here, run price back up, grab all the buy stops above, and then run it right back down to the middle of the range and not make any headway, kind of leads me to believe that they're not done down here yet. So, again, we'll have to wait and see. Either that or they're just stair-stepping this thing higher to get above this high and then drop it. So, yeah, there's really not much, and I wish we would have seen a little bit more action today, but you know, that's not very much. Again, we're on the US dollar. It's 40 pips, 45 pips. Not a huge day. by any stretch of the imagination. So I said it before, any of you guys watching have any questions or anything like that? I'll do my best to answer those for you guys. But other than that, kind of a lackluster FOMC. Now, what they're probably going to do, this is the initial volatility. They may start to get in a range, in a trend, and just start to drop price or to raise price, and it's just going to be like a steamroller for the rest of the day, and they're going to, start running price. But we'll have to watch for that, and that's not going to happen in 2 minutes. That's going to take a while to happen. So we could see that as well too, but just keep that in mind. So, thought that was interesting, but don't have a whole lot else to talk about. I could talk about a couple other pairs here. US yen still trading in a consolidation. Not much happening there. A little more conducive to what the US dollar index is doing on a daily. This consolidation on the dollar index has lasted a lot longer than what the UJ has, but nice breakout to the downside here, and then so far price has been unwilling to go any lower. I'd like to see a continuation down, to be honest with you. Typically, get a couple of nice symmetrical price swings here, which would take price, sort of under this old low right back in here. And we had a failure up here, price to go any higher, and then some more accumulation happening, and then a dump to the downside. Now, if it was just a wick down lower than these lows and then a run higher, you'd expect higher prices, but they really dropped it down and are really consolidating here. So interesting. We'll have to see if they want to bounce. So if the US dollar goes higher, we'll see a bounce higher in the yen. If it goes lower, if the US dollar goes lower, then we should see a continuation down and hopefully see these lows here get taken out. So we'll have to wait and see on that one. But that's the yen. Again, US CAD. I was sent out a chart last night to a bunch of members in our group. This was the monthly, hit a very significant level, area of resistance on the monthly rate up in here, and so far it has rejected that monthly high. So we'll have to wait and see. We could see lower prices coming for the US CAD, especially if we do see that lower dollar index coming. If we do see a continuation to the downside on the dollar index, we will see the Canadian dollar start to drop. Because there is some price inefficiencies down in this range here as well too, whereas they really traded very, very well up in this. They've covered price range in this area very, very well, whereas down here they still have left a little bits to be filled in. So we'll have to wait and see. But so far, it's just been in a bit of a range. Nothing too spectacular here, but nice rejection on today in the Canadian dollar. And you see, that's the other thing too you got to look at. Look at the rejection. So we had some rejection on the US dollar. We had even larger rejection on the Canadian dollar here. And if price really gets lower than here, I would be expecting much, much lower prices to ensue on the Canadian dollar. So if we don't see any willingness to bounce here, then we could see price starting to trade back down into here, which again could be the catalyst for that bearish price action I was talking about earlier. But we'll see. There is a level, a little bit of range left up in here for price to continue higher. But so far, nice rejection. And again, I've been talking about buying the US CAD. This could be a nice time to get longs. We'll wait and see what price does today. If we fail to get any, excuse me, if we fail to get any lower than here, this is about 129 big figure. So if we fail, the price could wick down in here, of course. But if price closes lower than 12900, we could see lower prices. If we just bounce here, price is unwilling to come down and it starts to wick through, 10 or 20 pips, but the bodies of the candles are not closing lower than that. then we could see higher prices. I just want to take a quick fib, basically right off of here. Zoom in. Yeah, that's pretty close, right about that 50% range of that consolidation. Pretty close. The old highs back in here in that small consolidation. So I would say that that would sort of be the limit, and that comes in at 128.80. So price could wick through the 129 big figure down to about 128.80. So wick through about 20 pips, clean up this little area pricing efficiency right here, and potentially get a bounce. And if it trades through that level, then we should be looking at price to come back down into here. So we'll wait and see on that. Price may do this in here as well too, and then break lower, and then it'll do this here and break lower. There could be a bit of a profile coming up here. So if you look at this being the low, and another consolidation in here, and then another one right here, and then if this is the high, what we should see, if price breaks here, we could see another consolidation level, you know, somewhere down in here, and we'll see another one somewhere down in here, and then we'll see if price wants to get back down to a level down here. So again, if that happens, if this low here breaks on the CAD, that's what we could see coming in the next couple of weeks of trading. But that would have to be a significant breakdown. Again, we should see, if that happens, then crude oil would have to be, whoops, go over to my other chart. Crude oil would have to be running higher, which it is, running a lot higher. And then the Canadian dollar would have to be breaking down along with the US dollar. Oh, we finally saw some range expansion on the US dollar. Getting these lows in here, now we could start seeing it here. If we don't get any rejection in here, then we should see lower prices, which means it's going to start really ripping the Euro USD and the pound dollar. We're going to start seeing these highs getting violated in here. Sorry, these guys over here. So let me just bring up these three again, and we'll look and we'll see if these lows want to get violated in here. We should start to see these highs get hit, and then the ensuing highs in here getting nailed. Now again, on the euro, pound dollar, that was kind of the line in the sand, which is about the 50% move of these three up candles here. If price gets higher than there, closes higher than that, then we are definitely going to see these highs up there getting ripped. Nice action on that. Downward sprint. And there they go. So, again, just moving out to a 4-hour time frame. If they take this low here, right, and this is what I was talking about earlier. Where's my other chart? If they start taking that low there, then we could start to see these lows start to get violated. Now watch as well too, they could just wick down into this and then run it higher. But I think they've been building in a higher low, higher low, higher low for a reason. I think they want to jam down here because there's a ton of liquidity right under here. Everybody stops, all the large funds, everyone else, all their stops are right here, and right here, and right here. So where do you think they're going to go for? All right, they've got it above. They've got the liquidity above here. So when they did this big price drop in here, That's where everybody's stop was, right? Everyone's thinking that's resistance. Price failed to hit that high over here and take it out. Let's get short. Price started moving in their favor, so they jammed all their stops right here. They ran price down just to rip it back up, take all those stops. Big rejection, and that was a 50 pip, 40 pip price rejection, depending on your feed. And then they hammered it back down. So now where are all the stops? Right here, here, and here. And there's obviously some under here, of course, but after this big price move up, anybody who's right on this move here getting long has been jamming their stop up under here. So they could want to take that. And if that's going to run prices lower, we should see prices higher in the euro, which we are. Gotta love FOMC. Just a real unwillingness to come lower on FOMC or on Euro USD. But again, I've seen that before, and they don't. It's not like they're jamming it up there. Like look at the dollar. So let me give you an example. Usually the euro is lockstep with the U.S. dollar. Okay, so whatever the U.S. dollar is doing, the euro is doing almost the exact opposite. You can see the U.S. dollar now is challenging this consolidation area in here, and it looks like it's probably going to take the lows under here. But if you look at the euro, it's still a few pips off of that. It hasn't even got up to the consolidation range. It's still 12 pips away from the high of this consolidation range. So what this may lead me to believe, here's another scenario for you to consider. What if the US dollar comes down, takes out these stops here, but we don't see price on the euro come up to take out these highs up here? That's going to be a little bit of SMT divergence, which means that the run down here could be a false run, which means they could slam this thing up higher again, which means we would have price roll over here and continue lower. So just keep that in mind. If we don't see a continuation in price above this small little consolidation range in here, right? If price does not have any willingness to get higher in here, we could see the opposite reaction happening, because it's like I say, look at the difference. See, it's already into that consolidation range, whereas this one is not. All right. Now, the euro, or the pound dollar, is completely decoupled from the U.S. dollar, which means, you know, whatever, it doesn't matter what the U.S. dollar is doing, this thing's going to do whatever it wants to do. Took out the highs, just took out the highs. Look at that, just ripped through those highs. So now we're going to be interested. It's going to be interesting to see if they have see any rejection. The next high comes in right here, and if we have willingness to continue in there, then I've got a couple levels up in here marked off. Maybe not even that high, more like maybe in there. We'll see if they want to take those, but if again we don't see any rejection. But if the US dollar just comes down here, wicks through, rejects, it could drive both of these lower. Now the other thing you got to keep in mind as well too, look at the weakness of Euro GBP. Look at this. I was mentioning this earlier. So these two pairs in here, the Euro GBP cross, if this thing is dropping, it means the Euro USD is consolidating and the pound dollar is running higher. And that's actually exactly what you're seeing. Euro USD consolidating, pound dollar running higher. So just keep that in mind as well too. They could be looking for lower prices to take out those two equal lows here and then reject it. You know, that could be an option, which means they're going to continue to keep the Euro USD in this consolidation range, and the pound dollar is going to start taking out these highs here. So that's an option. So just keep that in mind going forward here, that you know, you could see something like that occur. So, you know, they'll just consolidate this. Like look look at some of this in here. Like, look at this consolidation range in the euro. That's a very, very long range. But look at the pound. They've been running this thing higher for a real long time. Yes, consolidation range in here and here, but they have been running that thing higher. Whereas the euro, yeah, we had a bit of a run up in here, but like, look at this. And if you look at the pound, or the euro pound, look at this range. Like, they've just been manipulating those two pairs for the past 2 years now, I think it is. What is it? 2017. So September of 2017, it's been in this. Failed to get higher. Failed to run these highs again that I created last year. And it's just been sitting in a very, very big consolidation range. And again, you have to look at these cross pairs and see what they're doing. Because it's going to give you clues. Not only the US dollar, which is obviously the king, and typically what this does, the others do, but you have to look at the cross pairs because they're very, very significant. You can see this rip down in the Euro GBP. That's why we're getting this significant run up higher in the pound dollar, especially when the US dollar has just been consolidating. So expect these highs to get taken out next. Get a spot here. Expect these highs here to get taken out next. That would be, I think, where they're going to go. And then from there, once we see that if that happens, then we could see price come up, come back down, retest, and we could look at getting long in here, depending on if this wants to see any continuation lower than these two lows in here. We could reject these lows and come back up in the consolidation range again, in which case that may lead to lower prices on the pound dollar. But that's what we could see. You can see this as well too. It's just been leaving lows, higher low, higher low, higher low, higher low. Nice bullish uptrend since the 1st of March. Not necessarily the greatest price action. Like, you can see a block of choppy price in here, block of choppy price in here. Bit choppy in here, so it hasn't, like, it's not like it's been a straight line steady going up, which it's kind of been ugly to trade. So to get in on any longs, I mean, there was an opportunity right here, but with this wick down and through, it might have taken you out. Just not great trading on the pound dollar. Really ugly. Like, it's not like we're trading in this, or this range here. Just sort of choppy and ugly. So a bit frustrating on the pound dollar, unfortunately. Okay, let's see where we're at here on the daily. Let's go down to a lower time frame. They're starting to challenge this consolidation area now, finally. Get rid of this. That's not valid. You can see the US dollar is already through that range here. I'm going to go down to a lower range there. Look at the euro. Ugly trading in these consolidation ranges and in things like the euro. You can see here on the weekly range, right? The weekly range opened up here. Here. Dropped down, ran up, dropped down, ran up. Honestly, if you had been a trader, this would have been the trade. The pound dollar would have been the trade to get into. But like I say, bit sloppy in price action over the week, right? Like, just not nice price to trade into. Had you, though, Monday come in, opened here, created the low, and then ripped up higher and came in and failed to get back down to these lows here and then continued to rip, you could have yesterday got in along down here off of this old area in here. But to be honest with you, with FOMC happening today, last thing you want to do is take a trade at this late in the day and going into FOMC, obviously. But some nice movement though so far. I mean, that's 137 pips on the day today so far on the pound dollar, and I think that I think these lows or these highs up in here are going to get taken and swept next. So that's about another 40 pips or so. Yeah, I definitely think that trade was right in here on the pound dollar, but neither here nor there. Now we gotta wait to see what price wants to do, if it wants to reject these highs and then trade lower, or if it wants to continue. But like I said, I'd like to see this happen. Highs taken, come back down, consolidate, and then run higher, and then we could see it getting some longs in there. So make sure I'm getting same price data. US dollar index, I want to go down to a lower time frame if I can. Oh, here we go. Daily. See if we can get a 1 month intraday. There we go. The price needs to continue moving bearish down through here. And really, like I said, I'd like to see these lows get tagged in here. Moved off nicely in here and in here. Now violating these lows down in here. It's got to see continuation to the downside if it's going to break these lows down here. Look at the volume, by the way. Lots of trading going on today. The banks and large funds are definitely putting some money to work today, that's for sure. Huge volume. Look at that, almost doubled. Almost doubled. Back in here. That's funny. So what was that? 10,000 is volume. It's another big volume day. 800. What was non-farm? Non-farm came in on Friday the 2nd. Where was that trading? Right in here. Friday, March 2nd. Look at that volume. Nothing compared to today's. Lots of volume today. That's kind of cool. But, yeah, they definitely want to get this price going somewhere in a big hurry. Look at that, right to the pip almost. That's very interesting. See this range moving up right here? They pretty much came right to the bottom of this last push down before they ran it higher and rejected right off of there, like almost to the pip. That's very interesting. I'm going to actually look at that a little more detail here in this one. What was the low on this candle? See the movement? They ran price higher here, dropped it down, and then pushed price higher one last time before selling off. The low on this candle comes in, come on, give me that. There we go. Oh. Low on this candle comes in 89.86 on this feed. The high of this candle, 89.86 or so. Remember that. Come on. 89. Come on. Why is it not giving me the price chart here? You guys can't see it on your screen there. It's not giving me the box, but on the bottom of the window, high comes in at 89.85.8, which is pretty much 89.86, which price delivered right to the pip. Very, very interesting that they would do that, and then prices sold off. So that basically there, right there, tells you that's sort of the tip. I don't necessarily know that it's going to be a rejection. It may be a continuation down. And again, I'd like to see them get through here and then eventually get through the high of this candle here. I want to see them get through the middle. If they get through the middle point of this candle right here, then we will definitely see prices running lower. So that would basically mean that we are game on to get higher, to get into our longs in the euro. Now just keep in mind, euro GBP, if we see some rejection in here, we're going to see some pullback and consolidation in the pound dollar. Okay, so again, the trade was definitely throughout the week. The trade was definitely, and of the month was definitely in the pound dollar. The bulls are out in the pound dollar, and they're taking their fees. But if we see price reject these lows on the euro GBP, that could be the catalyst to finally let the euro start to run up higher, especially if we see lower prices in the dollar. So it's a lot to balance. You've got what's the US dollar doing, what's the euro GBP doing, what's the pound dollar doing, what's the fiber doing. You know, 4 different pairs you got to look at. What are they all doing? Where are they all going? That's trading for you, right? But if you can get the levels correct, like we just identified right in here, and start to kind of see where they're manipulating price, you can kind of start to see them tipping their hand, and you can jump on those positions before they come to fruition. So very interesting to see. So I want to see here, what I'm trying to boil this all down to is if price gets below into here, and I'll put a price chart on here so you can see what I'm talking about. We're talking the mid-range of this candle here, which comes in, I'll just put an exact marker on here so you guys can see. Now this is on the 4-hour, obviously. On the daily, that candle doesn't necessarily exist, but I want to try and use as high a time frame as possible, intraday pricing, and that comes in at 50% level rates. Yeah, pretty close to right there. Delete that. So if price comes down and goes and closes lower than 89.16, you know, call it 89, yeah, 89.16, 89.15, right in and around there, then we should see lower prices on the dollar for the rest of the week for sure, and maybe even into next week. And they're going to leave these highs here, and they're going to start taking up the liquidity that I had mentioned before. Now again, this bloody feed is a little indifferent from this feed here, but you can see what I'm driving at here. So that's what I'm looking at. Sorry guys, just if you're just jumping on or just looking at this, I see a couple new people joined us. I've got 2 different price feeds here because you always got to double check the consistent price with the broker that you're using. So I've got 2 different brokers, 2 different demo accounts here up. This one here is giving me different data than this one here, obviously. So you can see sort of where I'm driving at. But they just took the lows here, swept the lows, taking the stops. If they want to reject, that's going to happen here fairly quickly. 89.16 on this feed, and 89.16 on this one comes in right about here. So same area. These lows, or this consolidation area right in here. So if price does not have any willingness to get through that, then we should see higher prices. If price closes lower than 89.16, 89.15, we're going to see lower prices. Okay, I can't make that any clearer than that. So that's enough information there, right there though, to give you enough information to trade for the rest of the week. So we'll just have to wait and see what price wants to do for the rest of the day. Please don't trade, obviously. It's still FOMC. They could still run these prices any way they want. And you could still get stopped out. I mean, just because they ran prices down here, they could just be looking to take the stops underneath this low here, and then they could just reverse it and go straight back the opposite way, because I did identify a couple of price inefficiencies up into this area up in here. So just, you know, keep that in mind, that there are some levels up in here that I'm just getting a note from one of my other analysts talking about gold. What's gold doing today? Oh, look at gold. Wow. Look at gold. I don't know if there's any gold traders out there. I know some people are strictly devoted just to trading one or two currency pairs, and that's great if you do. Absolutely nothing wrong with that, because you really get in-depth knowledge on the two pairs, and that's your bread and butter. You know, trade it and get on it. That's great. We have several different analysts that work with us here at F45 Trading, and this guy right here, for some reason, I don't know why it's up there, at F45 Trading, and my one analyst trades exclusively gold, S&P, and UJ, and DIW for now. Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, I didn't really discuss UJ at all. Oh, sorry, I'm just kind of talking with myself versus my other analyst here via instant message. So sorry about that, guys. Yeah, very interesting though. They are really running this, spiking this thing higher. They're getting long in a hurry. Again, a lot of areas down here for gold to fall. But if we see continued downward pressure on the US dollar, we will see gold rally higher. So that's how that's going to work. But still, just really chopping in this consolidation range in here. Kind of ugly, to be honest with you. Let's see what it wants to do. I'm kind of jumping around a little bit here, guys. Sorry, I apologize. I was kind of sticking to the main three here, but Aussie's on a nice little rip higher, which would be a nice rejection off of this level down in here that I've identified on the chart, which they came in very nicely. Reject, drop. What is that on the hourly? How many pips is that? Are we talking here? Nice rejection. Ran it up, ran it down one more time. Perfect rejection, 100 pips. 100 pips on Aussie, that's a big range. Aussie typically doesn't trade that many in a day. Other than right here, they were in a big hurry to get that down. Now, seeing some nice rejection on that. So we'll see if they have any willingness to get above this small consolidation area in here. There's actually some Aussie news coming up this evening, guys. Just so you know, if you're an Aussie trader, let me just bring that up real quick here. Just looking at that. Sorry, again, bouncing around a little bit. Wednesday, there is Aussie, and I mentioned this earlier on in the session. 8:30 p.m. New York time. There's some Aussie news. So this could be some manipulation, a good potential for Aussie after FOMC calms down here. Later on in the afternoon. If price does not want to see willing to break this consolidation range and start to trade up into here, there could be an opportunity for a continuation to the downside here on this one here, and price come into this location to clean up the shorts. You can see this nice downtrend here. We're seeing some rejection at these levels. So if it fails to get much higher than where it is right now, we could see price roll off again with them dropping that news in there later on this afternoon. So just keep that in mind. I don't know why that's moving around all over the place. So anyway, that's let's have one more quick look back at these pairs here. US dollar looks like it wants to continue to the downside, which should continue to rip these guys up. Euro USD finally getting into this consolidation range here, so we'll see if it has any willingness to continue higher than the highs up here. Again, guys, don't be trading today. It's you know, just because you see this here, that doesn't mean anything. They could easily reverse. You don't want to be buying at these levels anyway, because they could easily reverse price back down into here. You want to see a break and a retest. That's when you enter the next day. Same thing out there. Pound dollar getting these levels up in here that I called. For the day now, we'll want to see if price has any willingness to get much higher than that. Pretty good day so far, though on the pound. Whoops. On the day, we are 140 pips, almost 150 pips on the daily range. So I would expect them to probably take out these highs here, and then we should start to see price relax a little bit. Probably some profit taking up in these areas, and then we'll probably see price start to drift back a little bit, back down to this area down here. That's what my call on the day is going to be. Again, it's been a pretty nice movement here for FOMC. It's now 3:15 New York time, so I can't see them continuing too much longer. I would imagine everyone's probably going to want to take their profits off the table here fairly soon and head home for the day. But we'll wait and see what happens there. Yeah, see, they just poked their head above that high there so far. So we're on a 4-hour here. Unfortunately, I don't think we're going to see the close of this candle yet. Let me rip over to a bar chart here quickly. I just want to see what they're doing here. So you can see the difference. Excuse me. You can see the difference here between these charts and the prices that you're getting. This is this, essentially. Let me try and see if I can get this down on the right time frame here. That's 2-hour candles. There we go. That's the 4-hour. So you can see a little bit difference in price. This one here is giving me 89.29, and this one here is giving me 89.35. So it's definitely 6 pip variance, and that's going to make all the difference. Price coming down into here versus in here. Now this is delayed data slightly. Just because this is just off of barchart.com. It's not a paid service or anything like that. It's just free streaming data. Could be delayed a little bit versus the broker here is going to be a little bit more tight to the market, a little bit more reactive. So we could see price starting to reject this level in here. But if we are going to continue to the downside, I'd like to see these candles broken in here, closed below. Again, same thing. Broken and closed below in order to confirm our continuation to the downside. I highly doubt that they're going to, if they want to continue lower, they are not going to come down here, close the candle under here, and then reject and run higher all of a sudden. They'll wick it down, they'll grab the stops, and then they'll run higher if that's their overall intended move. So just so you know what to expect on that. So. Anyway, guys, I've been on now for about close to an hour and a half here. An hour and 40 minutes, actually. I'm starting to run out of things to talk about. I don't know how much I can say the same thing over and over again here, so I think I'm going to bring this one to a close. Interesting. See some rejection on here if they want to continue price higher or lower. This is going to tell us here pretty quickly. They don't really seem to want to reject yet on the US dollar, so we could see some continuation to the upside on the euro, and this could just be a interim pullback for the pound dollar, so we could see higher prices on the pound still. See how they just took that high by about a pip or so. On this feed, price comes in at the high of 141.44 and high here 141.441. So it's close. Just took it. Sometimes they like to do that, and then they'll drop price right back down a couple hundred pips. That's always fun. But some nice continuation of the upside on here. And I wouldn't suggest any bearish activity on the pound dollar If price came down and broke this low down here, I might change my tune a little bit. Whoops. But I'd be expecting continuation of the upside on the pound dollar, as long as these lows in here don't get broken. And that's basically just a 50% move, a little more than a 50% move so far. You know, if these lows down in here at 61% get broken, then we might change our tune a little bit, but we'll see what happens. In order for that to happen, we'd have to see a reversal on the US dollar, so prices would have to be trading above this high here for that to happen. Same thing with the euro. So Aussie dollars, so far not much of a willingness to continue through here, so we'll see if they start to consolidate price in here and start wicking up into here on that news on the Aussie dollar coming up here in about 6 or 7 hours from now. If we don't see any willingness to continue through here, expect a drop to the downside with that news coming out. $77.99 as a high. Is that a level on the 4-hour or maybe the daily? Yeah, that could be. It's an interesting level in there. Let me just take a run off of here. Looking through the candles, I like it. Bit of a confluence in that area for sure. We could see price run up to that level. Let's see what we are in a weekly. Right about the 50% range of this candle here, that 77.99, 7800 level comes in at. So we'll see if there's no willingness to continue through that level, then we could see lower prices. And again, I mean, this is the overall trend, so you don't want to be trading against the trend. I'm not going to assume that we're going to have a bounce in here and prices all of a sudden going to start rocketing and taking out these highs up here. I'm suggesting the news that's coming in on Aussie, we could see, yeah, I mean, that would be we could see price start wicking up into there for sure. But that's what, like I say, if price starts to wick into here and not see a willingness to close much higher than these levels in here, I would expect a return back down, a continuation down to the downside. So could be looking for that. So that's, if any of you guys are Aussie traders, obviously we've got to cover as many pairs as we can here. You know, the main ones we cover, the US dollar, obviously, because that gives our indicators. Euro USD, Pound USD, US CAD, which is really starting to break down here now. Nicely, we come into this area that I identified, so we'll see if we see continuation of the downside. This thing has been so out of sync with the US dollar, it's crazy. So it'd be nice to see if this thing starts to snap back into alignment with the US dollar. Not that I want to see consolidation, but if we see further consolidation in the US dollar, if price keeps sitting in here and chopping sideways, then we'll probably see further manipulation on the US CAD, which means we could see higher prices ensue. You know, higher prices in the pound dollar and right across the board. So kind of interesting. But yeah, anyway guys, that's about it. It's I've been going on now for close to 2 hours. My voice is starting to get a little bit strained. Not a whole bunch else in here that I see happening. Like I say, we all know our levels. If price breaks through here, we'll look for a break and a retest and an entry long to get in and close off the week. If price fails to get into here, we'll start to see price maybe consolidate in here, and then we'll look for continued lows in the euro. And there's some price levels in here that I've identified. And on the daily, again, I don't have it on this chart, I have it on this one here. If price fails in here, okay? So, like I say, if we get a move higher than these highs in here, I'm going to look for this to happen, okay? If price fails in here and doesn't want to get any higher, then these areas on the chart that I've got marked are very, very realistic possibility. I'll get rid of that here. The lows in here for sure of yesterday and today, I want to see get violated, which means we're going to take a rip down lower and we're going to get into here. If that's the case and this starts to happen, then I'm going to get all over this on the long. I don't think this is going to be a continuation to the downside. I think this is just going to be a brief drop into here, and then I want to get long, and I'd be looking for highs up in here and for a nice swing trade to happen. Pound dollar, like I say, I'd want to see price relax a little bit, and depending on what the US dollar index is doing and what the Euro GBP is doing, I'd like to see a bit of a retracement. I don't want to be buying it up in here. You definitely don't want to be buying on price breakouts. You want to wait for the retest to come in, and if price breaks lower than here, then I'm cancel all that, and you don't want to be getting into that. You got to wait for price to kind of settle down and get to where it's going. Before you do that. So nothing yet on this one, so that's what I'd be expecting on the pound dollar. US CAD, like I say, nice retracement in here. I don't want to see, if price breaks this low, I'd want to see just a retest off of these levels. I wouldn't want to see it go any lower into there, and really it shouldn't have to break these lows right in here. We're just sort of trading back to this consolidation range one more time in here after price busted out there. So again, this one's going to be very contingent on the US dollar. If the US dollar starts to trade lower, then we could see lower prices. But if the dollar starts to trade higher, then we could see a movement back up to those range in there. So we'll wait and see what happens there. But that's about it, guys. I'm going to go grab a bite to eat here and rest my voice for a little bit. We will have a live session again. I was thinking about doing a London Open live session at 12 a.m. New York time, so about 11 hours from now, a little less than that, 10 hours from now. I might jump on quick to do a couple of quick notes and see where price finished. I won't be around to see this Aussie trade. I'll be watching that myself. I've got some stuff going on this evening, so I won't be around on the charts later, but we'll see what happens there. But I'm thinking about doing a live session again, just real quick, 15-20 minutes, nothing serious, for the London Open, to see where we're at and see if there's any trades we can take. But Dave will be on for sure. New York Open tomorrow, he's going to be doing a live trading session. We're going to be trading the S&P. We're going to be looking at gold again, as I had mentioned, and then we're going to be looking at, he's going to be looking at the UJ as well. So you can check those out as well and see where we're at. But he's going to be doing a live trading session, so you can definitely look forward to that. Look at the drop on cotton. Damn. Yeah, price was sitting right in here. I was looking at it, and I just wanted to see if there was a continuation. If it wasn't FOMC, I would have said get short on this pair. We're just going to have to wait and see if it comes back up and retest this consolidation area in here. And then I may be issuing a signal for all of our members on cotton, if there are any cotton traders out there. Yeah, price really isn't doing a whole, not too exciting. It wasn't like it was fireworks today, that's for sure. Bit muted. Seeing price making a run. But not like it's in a big hurry. Like it moved down there fairly quickly. Not like it's in a big hurry to get under these lows and stay under these lows, is it? It's kind of just sort of petering around a little bit. Where are we on the 15? You see that? On the 15? Price took these lows, swept those lows. How far did it go? 5 pips? 5-6 pips? So far it's seen a little bit of bullish price action higher, so we'll have to wait and see. But like I say, 2 schedules coming up. I'll do a London session quick for about 15-20 minutes. That is at 12 a.m. New York time, Thursday morning, and then Dave will be on doing a New York session at 9 a.m. New York time tomorrow morning, so you can watch for that. He's going to be on doing the S&P gold and UJ markets and just kind of talking about what happened, doing a quick recap on what happened today. So you guys can watch it for that as well too. And that's about it. Okay, you guys got the levels that I was talking about, so we'll wait and see what happens. I'll discuss those again tonight, and we'll go from there. Thanks for jumping on the session today. Like I say, just a study session. Stay out of the markets for the rest of the day. It's still not worth it trading. With the exception of potentially maybe an Aussie trade coming up later on today, but that's obviously after the New York market has well closed, and so FOMC, sorry, results will have been in, and should be safe to trade by about then. So the market direction should be in by then, and we'll get our answers on what we're looking for. So until then, we will catch up to you. Have a great rest of your Wednesday, and stay out of the markets. Study. Talk to you then.